Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Georg and this is the Storyline 360 beginner tutorial. In this video, we'll be looking at Storyline's user interface. This includes starting the app, the first screen you see, story view, which is an overview of your entire project, slide view, where you will probably be spending most of your time in the app, and lastly, I will show you how to customize the interface of Storyline. And before we get started with all of this, I'd just like to tell you why I think it's a great idea to start learning Storyline. Learning Storyline is first of all a great decision. It's a powerful tool that lets you create courses that are engaging and highly customizable to your needs and to those of your learners. And I also think that being skilled in Storyline will help you when applying for e-learning jobs. Another great thing is that learning Storyline is not too difficult. You can do amazing things without writing a single line of code. And if you have already worked with PowerPoint, some things might already feel familiar. And lastly, I think learning Storyline is relatively fast compared to other tools. But I must also tell you that you will need more than 15 minutes. There's just too much to learn. So if you really want to master Storyline, it may take some time. I really hope I can help you on your learning journey. And if that's the case, there are 3 major ways in which you can support this channel, and they are completely free. If you don't mind, please leave a like. That way this video will be recommended to more people. Comment on this video. I read every single comment and try to respond as best as I can. And subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more videos like this one. Alright, let's get started. Okay, so I hope you were successful in installing Storyline. If not, I'll put a link in the description with instructions on how to do that. So, how do you start Storyline 360? One way to do it is by going to your search bar or taskbar, find Storyline and click on it. Before we start Storyline, there's one more thing I'd like to show you. Sometimes you will see a notification that updates are available. This notification will bring you to the Articulate 360 app. The 360 app is a control panel for all your apps from Articulate. To open the app, just go to your system tray, click on the A symbol, the app opens up, and if updates are available, you will see them right here. You can also start Storyline from the 360 app, which I will do now. This may take some time. Storyline opens up, and the first thing you see are news or updates about Storyline. On the left, you have different ways of starting a project. You can open a new empty project, record your screen and start from there, or you can import content, for example, from PowerPoint. Additionally, you can start with team slides. These are slides or scenes which are available and reusable within your team. Below, you also have your recent projects. One thing I'd like to say here is the best way to learn Storyline is by actually using the software. So please, if you haven't already, start following along now. In this tutorial, we will start with a new and empty project. So click on New Project. First, you will see your project in Story View. Storyline has already created a first slide called Untitled Slide and a scene called Untitled Scene. In Storyline, your slides are organized in scenes. Story View gives you an overview of your scenes and your project, or as it's also referred to, your story. This is comparable to a book. So let's look at a different project with a bit more content. So this whole project or story is the book. The slides are the pages and the scenes are the chapters of your book. As you can see here, we have an introduction, scenes that focus on one specific subject, and so on. So scenes are a way to structure your content. Okay, so let's switch back to our current project. Let's add one more slide to this scene and then add one more scene. To add the slide, we will click the New Slide drop-down button, hover over Basic Layouts, and then click Title Only. And to add the scene, we will click the New Scene button. Now that we have two scenes, you might have noticed that only one of the scenes has this red flag. The red flag marks that this is your starting scene, which means that this is the first scene your learners will see. On the right, we have two panels, one called Triggers and one called Slide Properties. More on both of them later. For now, you just need to know that these are the slide properties and triggers for the slide that is currently selected. Before we jump from story view to another view, I want to show you something I wish I would have found early on. It's the possibility to zoom in and out of story view, which is down here on the right. And you can also use the control key and mouse wheel, which I'm doing now. Zooming in and out becomes very handy as you add more slides and scenes to your project. And you can also let Storyline do the job for you by clicking the Fit to Window button on the far right. This way, the entire project will be fitted to your window. Remember, right now we're in Story View. If you want to edit a slide, you have to switch to Slide View. Double-click a slide to open Slide View. And you can see right next to the Story View tab, Storyline has opened a new tab with the number and title of your slide. Click the tabs to move back and forth between Story View and Slide View. When creating a course, you will spend most of your time in Slide View, because this is where you will add your text, your media, your interactions, and everything that happens on your slides. Let's take a moment to get to know the user interface in Slide View. Starting at the top, you have tabs: Home, Insert, Slides, Design, Transitions, Animations, View, and Help. Click on the Insert tab. On the ribbon underneath, you can see everything you can add to a slide. Notice that the elements on the ribbon are organized in groups. For example, there's the group Content Library. The Content Library is a great collection of royalty-free course assets that is included in your Articulate 360 subscription. Of course, you can also add your own media, like pictures and audio. In the groups Text and Interactive Objects, you will find more elements that can be added to your course. I encourage you to explore all the options. If you want to know what something does, just hover with your mouse. A tooltip will provide answers for you. Let's say you don't know what an input is. You can just hover and see that you can insert a control that can accept input from the learner. At the very right, you will see the option to preview your course or parts of it. Use this option frequently, especially if you're just starting out. The importance of this option is clear when you go through the other tabs, because you will find that preview is included in every one of them. There is a lot more to say about the other tabs, but for now we are going to continue with the panels you see in Slide View. First up, the Scenes panel. In the Scenes panel, you can switch to different slides within your scene. And with the Scene selector at the top, you can even switch scenes. And if you hover with your mouse, you can also change the scene with your mouse wheel. On the right sits the Triggers panel. A trigger is an action that the course will execute. As you can see, Storyline has already created triggers. One to jump to the next slide when the user clicks or swipes next, and one to jump to the previous slide. You can do so many things with triggers that this topic alone would make up for a separate video. So for now, you just need to know that the triggers are located in the triggers panel and that this is where you edit triggers and create new ones. Below your triggers panel sits the slide layers panel. Slide layers are used to show more or different content on the same slide, often triggered by buttons the user clicks or other interactive objects. Every slide has a normal or base layer. Additional layers will show up here. Right below your slide sits an area that contains 3 panels. First one is the timeline. The timeline contains everything that is on your slide, or more precisely on your slide layer. If we switch to the second slide we created in the first scene, you can see that the slide contains a text box where we can add a title. This text box is also shown in the timeline. The timeline indicates that the slide is 5 seconds long with this vertical line. And you can also see that the text box is shown for the entire duration of the slide. Additionally, the timeline is the place where you can hide and lock elements. Moreover, you can rename your objects and arrange their order. To see how this works, we will insert another object on this slide. So go to the Insert tab, Shape, I will choose a rectangle, and I will place it here over the title. And you can see the rectangle is at the top of the timeline and it sits in front of the text box, which I can change just by dragging the rectangle down the timeline. Now the rectangle is behind the text box. The second panel is the states panel. States are different appearances of an object. Often these are changed based on the learner's actions. To get an idea of what this looks like, we're going to add a button. Click the Insert tab, click the button drop-down, choose a button shape, let's go with the first one. On your slide, click and drag your mouse to draw your button. Type the text for your button. I'm just going to type in next. Now, when the button is selected, we see in the states panel that there are 5 different states for this button. These states are the default or built-in states for a button in Storyline. You can see we have normal, hover, down, visited, and disabled. For now, let's focus on hover. You can see here that in this state the button appears in a lighter blue. Let's preview this. Click the preview drop-down, click this slide. As you can see, the hover state automatically appears when you hover over the button. In the states panel, you can also edit the states of an object and add your own states. And there is a lot more to discover about states. But for now, we're going to continue with the third panel, which is the notes panel. Here, you can add notes to each of your slides. Notes can be used for yourself as scripts while developing your course or while you record narration. But since you can make notes visible in your published course, you could also use them as additional information for your learners or as transcripts of the spoken text on your slide. The background in my notes panel here is black because the player for this course is black. This is something we can easily change, but let's not worry about this for now. To add notes to your slide, just type or paste your text. Now we will look at basic ways to change the interface in Storyline. You may have noticed that right now my slide is very small in relation to the whole screen. To change this, I can move my mouse to the edge of the Notes panel, click and then drag to change the size of the panel. And now my slide is bigger. If the size of your slide doesn't change automatically, just click the Fit to Window button in the bottom right. But I can create even more space. If I don't need the timeline, states and notes panels for now, I could also collapse the area completely by clicking the collapse icon, which is this little downward triangle at the top right of the panel, which you will also find on other panels. Now my slide is even bigger. To expand it again, find the icon, which is now an upward triangle, and click it again. Note that this also works in Story View. The downward triangle sits at the top of every scene. You should also know that it's possible to undock panels. You can undock a panel with this button or click the title of the panel and drag it anywhere you want. To redock a panel, click the button in the upper right and it goes back to its original position. Undocking panels is very helpful if you're working with multiple monitors or one very large one. Let's look at an example. One situation where we'll undock a panel is when I have many objects on a slide. As you can see here, when I'm scrolling down the timeline, there are many objects. Normally, I would undock the timeline and move it to my second screen. But since you can only see one of my screens, I will just rearrange the storyline window so you can see everything. And now I can see the timeline, select an object, and see the states of the object at the same time. Now that you know how to change the user interface in Storyline, it will be easier to work on projects that either have many objects on one slide or many slides in total. Okay, let's recap the parts of the user interface we've looked at. You now know how to start the app. We've looked at the first screen, Story View, where if we stick to the book analogy, you see your book and its chapters, Slide View, where you can edit your pages or slides, and finally, you now know how to customize the interface to suit your own workflow. If you've come this far in the video, I would just like to say thanks for watching and all the best for your learning journey. I'm here to help you with my videos, and if you gained any knowledge from this, please give this video a thumbs up, comment, and consider subscribing to my channel for more videos like this one. Thanks so much for your support. That's all for now. Bye.